They're recording.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Just so everybody can get it, those who can come and those who can't. Also, to everyone, I on my videos, if you go to my YouTube channel, I literally have like these little 1 minute or 1 minute and 30-second clips of the Hebrew alphabet that I'm doing. So that's going to be easy for you to look at. If you ever want to know how to say a letter or what does it mean, you can look at it that way as well. Okay. So let's keep the class real simple. Let's keep it real vanilla, real easy. Let's don't make it difficult. I say that because that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons why I began to teach, is because I didn't like people making it difficult, and they didn't want to teach me. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it as easy as possible for people when they come and learn, and able to ask questions. And sometimes when you learn under a teacher, they're not able to give you that time to ask the questions that you want to ask. So let's pull this up right quick. All right, I want to do something a little different today. So, usually I would start with the actual lesson, but I want you to feel comfortable to go to the answers. I want you to go to the answers. It's not cheating, as I would say. There's a psychological effect that can happen to you if you have the answers right in front of you before you do the lesson. Okay. Often we get frustrated in our learning experiences because we feel like we don't know it. And so it kind of discourages us. And then we find a reason why we shouldn't do it, or we'll get delayed and say, well, I'll just put it off for right now. I'll just do a little bit and I'll come back to it. And then we don't. Okay. So one of the ways that I was able to embrace this language and this culture a lot faster was, and especially the vocabulary and the verbs, is I just said, I'm going to the answers. I'm going to go to the answers and I'm going to see the way that everything is broken out. And then once I started doing that, it made things a little bit easier for me. So I would look at the answers first, then I would go and do the lesson. And what happened to me mentally was I didn't feel like I didn't know. I felt like I knew something, right? So this is a different way of learning. A different way of learning is let me put the things in front of myself to get it. So I'll know, like, okay, it's right in front of me. I know the answer. So when I would go back and I do the lesson, I felt really, really smart. Like, okay, I know how to do this, and it's not a big deal. So that's why I'm going to encourage you to do the same. This in particular lesson today is lesson number 5. And what they're going to be dealing with is going to continue in passive forms. Okay. So there's 2 types of actions that are happening that we're going over. This is the first type of action. That's the second type. Okay. Here it is: actively someone doing the action themselves, and passively the action is being done to them by someone else or something else. Okay. So you have active and passive. That's what you're looking at. Last week, we dealt with this in particular passive form, which is the nun. Okay. N-U-N. Called it a nun. Some people call it the noon. I don't really care what you call it. Some of us from Texas, some from California, and some of us from New York. Who cares? Just say whatever you want to say. I just want you to know what the letter looks like. And I want you to know, if I ask you, well, what does this letter mean? Somebody tell me from a Hebraic standpoint.
C.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? So no matter how you say it, it's still a seed. So it's like, that's the Yiddish way. That's the Jewish way. It's still a seed. It's just a script. All this is a script type. That's all it is. It's a modern script. Okay. So a modern script. Back in the day, ancient, they had it look like a little seed like that. And then some other way it would look like, some other thing. I don't know. But they have different scripts. So the script that you and I can identify with in our time is this one. Okay. And we know that belongs to the simple, which would be part of group number 1. Again, SFC, right? San Francisco, California. Really easy. Okay. Or South Florida County. I don't know. Whatever you want to make it your own. Okay. So today, what we're going to talk about is this in particular form, these little 3 dots. Okay. That's what this is. It means passive, but it only means passive under a verb, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about verbs in a past tense. We're still in past tense. Okay. So we're in group number 2, okay, which is the forceful way. And this is the only one we're dealing with today. So you already know what this is. You know what that is. You know what that is. You know what this one is from last week. And now you're learning this one. So as you can see, they'll give you a little piece at a time. They're not doing too much too soon. So you learn what this was and this one. It's like, oh, I get it. Yeah, ah and e. Okay. Then that's a hey sound. And then this is a n sound. And then this right here, you'd be like, okay, well, what sound is that? Somebody tell me.
Ooh.
Okay, so here it is. That's very close, but it's really called a. Okay. So 3 dots is a sound. Okay. One dot on this one right here, like that with a wah, is a oo sound. So I got confused. I used to think it was oo too, right? But it's not, it's like umbrella, okay? Not umbrella, umbrella. And it still has to do with the letter U. It's still the vowel for you, okay? And so is this one, okay? Just like the dot is a I sound, is an it, right? This one right here. But if I put a yod on it, it'd be a 2E sound, like B. See? But those are things that you're just going to have to learn and memorize. It's fine. But that's a sound, like in up. Just remember up. And remember that the dots are going what? Up. Okay? That's what that sound is like. Okay? And it represents that sound, but that in particular vowel, that letter vowel of you. All right. And I don't, off the top of my head, I don't recall whether it was a short or long, right? But it's a sound. All right. But not only has that vowel, it doesn't mean a vowel only, doesn't have a, for the letter U, and it doesn't also have that sound of like in up, but it also has the meaning of something. And what does it mean? It means that it is a passive action. That's something's being done passively. Okay. That's what it means. This one here just doesn't only mean noon, like the seed, right? And the letter N in English, and also the N sound. Okay. And also it means a passive form of something that's done passively. It's on the simple action. So you can see it has several different meanings. It also has a grammatical meaning to being we. It does, you know, or us, depending on how you're saying it, right? So that has several different ways that it means. And I think that's what gets us confused, because we want it just to mean one thing. Because when we learned the letter N, we just said, that's N, that's it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, L, M, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. And that's all it meant. And that's once it was that, that's it. It didn't have any other significance. So that's why we're having difficulty, because our brains were never designed to say, well, this has to mean more than this. This actually means something. And we're finding out that it has several different meanings. Okay. The letter hey here. Somebody tell me, give me some meanings what it means.
Positive.
Well, the H, it has an H in English. Okay. But what does it mean from a Hebraic Hebraic agricultural term? What does it mean?
A door?
No, close, but it means to look. Okay. What it is a man with his hands raised up. Okay. And he's looking up at a great sight. That's what he's doing. He's looking at a great sight going, whoa, look at that. So that's what it means. It means to look from a Hebraic agricultural term. The letter hey also has a grammatical term as the, meaning a direct object marker. It's an accusative like the or the book. So it points directly to the book, not a book, but the book. Okay. What else do we have? We have here that it's a causative form. We have that as well. Okay. So so it takes on many different dimensions. Okay. It has a H sound as well. So we can see that you have sounds, you have the way it looks, you have what, is action, what it can do. Here, that's not a letter, right? But it's a sound. So it's a I, like an it, that I sound, okay? That's that's the sound, but it also has another meaning. It's forceful. And so, you know, that's part of that in particular group number 2. And we also know that means active. See? So that's the deal. You're understanding how these things function. That's all you're looking for. You're looking for function. How functional is this? What is it doing? And we haven't been taught that. But we're learning, and you're getting it right now. Okay. So if I say, which one of these am I talking about? If I say, which one am I talking about?
Passive.
You're talking about the first one. It's a
Okay.
simple action. I said, eh. You feel it in
Forceful.
your voice. It's forceful. Yeah. Right here. So sounds, and then you have the way it looks. As simple as it gets. Okay. So in your answer sheet, these are all the answers to every one of the questions that you're going to have. So, you know, they don't give you all the different vowel points underneath here, you know, what's here and all that. All they're doing is they're just giving you this. And all they're telling you is this. Were, was. And then based on the 3-letter root here, that root to tell you exactly, you know, what kind of action it was. What is it trying to perform? All right. And then the ending here tells you, like, you know, who it is that's doing that. Tells you the person. Is it they, plural, or is it she, third person, feminine, singular? You see? And then they mix it up a little bit over here. So look at the patterns. Okay. So that's only, and guess what? If you notice, it's only under the first letter. That should be your focus. It's only under the first letter. Because everything that we're talking about, and I just want to make this clear, everything that we're talking about in terms of these forms are under the first letter of except for this is a letter. It's going to be in front of that letter, you know, in front of a call. All right. You're talking about, if you have a call here, it's going to be right underneath here. Either it'll be this, or it'll be this, or it'll be letter hey in front of it, or it'll be a noon in front of it, or it'll be the 3 dots underneath it, because it's going to be under the first letter of the 3-letter root. Okay. So you know your vocabulary words, and all your vocabulary words are right here. And if you notice, they don't use too many vocabulary words. They don't have to. You know, they just chose the ones they want, like send away. You know, to send away means in a forceful way. Is this. What's going to get confusing for you too is that you're going to go, well, how do I know that this is forceful? You know, how am I going to know? Well, you have to remember. So what I want you to do is come up here and remember and memorize this chart. That's what I want you to memorize. That's what you have to memorize. You got to remember that this is under group number 1. And you know, group 1 is part of San Francisco, California. So you know this San, which is the first group, boom, there it is. It's simple. You got to understand what's in group number 2 will be the forceful, and it will never change. It's always going to be group number 2. Okay. We haven't got to group 3 and we haven't got to group 4, which we're going to go to, but they're focusing on this. All right. So memorize that. And your answer sheet here, very important. They're going to give you these sentences, okay? And instead of you reading a sentence by itself without looking at this first, I want you to look at this first, okay? I want you to memorize this, coming all the way down here. So pick maybe about to right here. And don't go any further until you memorize this, okay? Till you can memorize that, don't go any further. Stay right there. Don't go any further. Just memorize that. And what they do, what I like is that they break everything down. These lines that you got right here is breaking it down so you'll know what and is, and then you'll know the next word, which is gone, which is also. This right here, they're telling you it's an arrow. So you already got that covered. You already know what that means, right? So you're looking at, well, what's the root? The root is to eat. Okay, well, how are they eating it? Eating with that dot. That dot means to devour. So they devour. Or why does it say he? Somebody tell me, why is it he? Why they have he right here?
It's in the, I'm sorry. It's in the past form.
Yes, it's perfect. It's in the past and it's a perfect form. So anytime any 3-letter root is in its perfect form, it's only going to be 3 letters unless they feminize it and put a hey on it. Okay. And that's the third person, masculine singular, when it doesn't have that hey on it. Okay. So it's perfect. That's perfect. This right here is perfect. And it means he. The moment I put a hey on there like that, it becomes a female. Okay. She's the one who is Shabara. She's the one who broke. Okay. Something. If I put a dot on it, she smashed it. I'll put a hey on the front, she caused it to be smashed. Okay. So there's all different ways you could do this. So look at these words, and they have nouns in here and they have verbs in here. But this is a great way that I want you to do it, because this will help you get past your fear of it. And you'll see that it's nothing but a combination of different things that are put together. Okay. Like, for example, you're going to know off the top when you see that means your possessive. And then you know Bain right here is son. Then you're going to know this is a causative. Then you're going to know basar is meat. Excuse me, that's hey, the. Okay. Then you're going to learn some other words. Okay. So go through and learn that. Then after you finish doing that, then I want you to go and do your exercise of your lesson. Okay. So your lesson's pretty easy. We just went over it, really. You got your vocabulary words here, right? Of course, you're going to have the nouns and verbs both in here. So this is just going to increase it even more. These words, I don't believe that you learned in your first book. This is in your second book. So again, today we're talking about the passive form, and the only one we're going to be dealing with is this one. That's all we're dealing with. They give us some examples, and they tell us that an action is being done forcefully, can be actively done, and this is passive. Okay. So when you look at this dot, okay, this one dot, this is what I want you to say to yourself: active. And you know it's forceful. It's actively being done by the person. It's forcefully being done, but he's the one who's doing it. It's active. So look at it and look at the dot and don't look at anything else, and just say active, 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 active 7 times and accept it. Okay. After you finish looking at that dot, right, and it's done, move on, go right here. And you look at those 3 dots and do not look at anything else but those 3 dots, and say to yourself, passive, 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 passive. That's it. It's memorization. That's basically what this is. Okay. You know that dot here makes that I sound as an it. And if you did forget, just put a little line underneath it and put that and make it. So you can remember how to say it. That's it. Don't use any other word except for it, and you'll never forget it. That's how I remembered. This is one of my little secrets. Here, this one here is I don't care if you got to sing it. And it's passive. So once you accept it, now we can move on. Okay. A lot of times we have difficulty because we just don't want to accept it. Our brain is like rejecting it. I don't know why, but it just does. I don't know, because we're getting older or whatever, but that's what happens with my brain. Okay. So now, when we look again, you're going to see these sentences here. Like, you know, that's Reuven right here. You're going to pull that out in a call. So if you look at it just off the top right here, I'm just dealing with this. I don't even want to deal with the root. I just deal with the dot. Is that active or passive?
Active.
That's it. What's that?
Passive.
Passive. If it's passive, all you got to remember is was or were, depending on how the sentence is structured. It'll reverse everything. So this is Reuven, he devoured the halakim, the bread. Okay. Then he'll turn around and reverse and said the bread was devoured. And they didn't have Reuven's name. They could, but they didn't. Okay. So one is him doing the action. Reuven is actively doing it. Passively, it's happening to the bread. You understand?
Yes.
But I want to show you something right here. How many of those 3 dots do you see? How many sets do you see?
2.
2.
Now, what got me when I first started learning this language was like, okay, well, is that passive? Right? That got to be passive. Right? Because it has the 3 dots. So I'm thinking it's passive. So I'm trying to look, what is this? You know,
Wow.
it looks like shellac, right? So I'm like, right? Because shellac is in there. Shellac is in that word, right? Right here. Shin, a lament, and a cough, right? I'm in a ket. But they got an N on it. So that means shlakon, which is the table. Okay. So this is a noun. This is
okay, the table.
verb.
I see.
So how would you know the difference?
Verb.
Well, it goes back
Verb.
to you knowing the actual what? What do you got to know?
Root.
You got to know the root, but guess what? The root is shalak. I see shalak right there, but I see that other letter noon on the end. So I got to look for it. Okay. Because I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, is this noon? Just walking you through how I saw things. Is this noon like part of the word? So it's like, well, I don't know any noon endings except for if it's a female, and I don't see that here. I don't know, right? So you kind of go through it, but you have to know your vocabulary. The shalakan right here is a table, okay? And here is another thing, like you should know that it has a hey on the front, but you're asking yourself, is that what? Is this a causative? Because I just thought you told me that the hey is causative. It is, but it's only causative on a verb. It's not causative on a noun. It's like an arrow pointing on the noun. Okay, so you got to know the difference between a noun and a verb. And the only way that you can know that is through your vocabulary. That's the only way. And the only way that you can remember your vocabulary is by reading it and singing it. Okay, so let me ask you something. I'll say a word and you tell me if it's a verb or a noun. I'll say one word and you tell me if it's a verb or a noun. Okay. Arets.
Noun.
That's a noun. And what does it mean?
Land or earth.
Yes. You see? So you already know that. So your brain is starting to accept these things. Okay. All right. If I said Moshe, is that a verb or a noun?
Noun.
That's a
Noun.
noun. If I say Ha Moshe, what did I just say?
The
Moses.
the Moses.
Yeah. Yeah. The Moshe. Yeah. Okay. If I say the Yaled means boy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just told you what it was, but at any rate, you got to know the difference between a verb and a noun, and you can only know that through your vocabulary. That's the only, and you can only know it by the way that it's said. Okay. Because I've never heard of a rets being a verb, right? But also too in the Hebrew, like I just told you, there is a root in here that is shalak, right here. The same letters, a shin, a lamed, and a ket, right here. It's in there. But if you knew your vocabulary, you'd be like, oh no, that's shlakan. That is a table. Okay, so the table was what? Is it broken or is it smashed?
Smashed.
Tell me why it's
Broke.
smashed. Because it's
Because
part
it's
of
passive.
Yeah, it's passive, but it's part of what passive group? Because there's many.
The
It's
third.
part of group 1 or group 2.
Orso.
It's going to be forceful.
Third.
So this right here means not only is it passive, but it also means that it's what? It's forceful.
Forceful.
Accepted. Okay. So this is a forceful active and this is a forceful passive. Okay. So use like, and that's the group and that's their family. So make it into a family. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the forceful family. That's the family we're talking about. That's the family we're talking about. So making these into families. You got a family that does things really nice and simple, and you got another group of people who are forceful and they want to break every damn thing. Excuse me.
What a metaphor.
Right? But because you can relate to people. You don't really relate to letters. You relate to family. So put these people, okay, make them and you put and in a forceful, and you can remember, because when you hold your throat, you say you feel the sides of your throat go tense. Oh, these are forceful. It's forceful. Okay, it's not ah. You understand? It's not ooh. It's forceful. Okay, so put these markings into a family, and then you'll be able to have better success. You'll remember them. Okay, that's what I do. I put things in families. You know, put them in a group home. I don't care. Put them somewhere. Okay, whatever you got to do. Here you go. So group 2 has both in its family, still part of the same family, is an active one who's doing the action. The it group, and the is the passive. They always letting something happen to them. Okay. So then they're going to give you some sentences, and that's pretty much it. That's it. That's literally it. That's how easy this is. Okay. Is, you know, she smashed, she was smashed. You know, we smashed, we were smashed. Okay. So let me pull this up right quick just to give you a better idea here. Okay. So let me show you how to easily deal with this. Okay. So the first thing that you want to look at is, first you'll say it, you know, you go Shabarnu, you know, you'll be able to say it. Once you say it, close your eyes and say Shabarnu. You're listening for words like new and all that, right? So I know that new means we, right? And remember, you're going to speak it this way, but you're going to translate this way. Okay. So when you look at this, because we're reading and we're looking at actual, you know, letters, you got to understand that these are nothing but pieces. Break everything down like they do in your answer sheet. Break this stuff down, slice things up, slice that away, get this out, and then look at all the details. Forget about all these little other things right here. This is not important. Because right now, the focus, when you do your studies, the focus is not this, and it's not this, and it's not this. That's just there to confuse a person in a sense. Because when you look at your answer sheet, remember your answer sheet don't have none of that, does it? It has none of these marks, none of it. So study the way that you answer stuff, okay? So don't look at any of those things. Just break it down, new, and then look at that and be like, okay. All right, so I know shabar means to break. Okay, but this is part of the forceful family. Okay, smashed. Okay, what part is we? Oh, new, here, there you go. That's it. Okay, and then what does it mean? Here you go. We were smashed. Circle it. That's how you do it. And you keep doing this over and over again. I'll do it right now. What did I just say? What's this?
I.
Sent away. That's that forceful away. Okay. One's a little bit confusing. Here it is. I told you there's the shin, the lamed, and the ket. Again, shalak right there. Okay. Because that means to send, but to be sent away forcefully is to send away. Okay. What did I just say?
I was
and then
sent
send
away.
away. Thank you. That's how I want you to do it. I want you to say it, close your eyes and say it again. Say when you look at it, go shalakti, shalakti. So you say it one time and then close your eyes and just say it again and again and again. Shalakti, shalakti, shalakti. Shalakti, 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 shalakti. And then you hear that T, you be like, oh, that's I. And shalak, oh, I sent. But the sh, you hear that sh? It wasn't sha, it was sh. So you would sh, okay? And that will tell me, close your eyes and listen for that sound. You put in the work, you're going to get the best results ever, okay? And so they give you the different endings on these to let you know, okay? Let me ask you a question. What is this? Tim,
You, you,
you, okay. Question, is it masculine or feminine?
masculine.
Masculine.
Why is it, how do you know it's masculine?
Oh, there's no hay?
No, how do you know it's
Oh, no.
masculine?
I just know a Tim is masculine.
Well, it's that letter mem, it's the final mem. If it was a
Oh,
noon,
okay,
if it was a
proceed.
final noon, it would be feminine.
Oh,
A good reason, a good way to remember this is to say that M in English should be in your alphabet, it'd be MN. Okay, in the Hebrew, it is a mem and a noon right next to each other, just like it is in English. Okay, so you can always say that that's the masculine. He's first, and then the second would be the noon. It's a quick way to remember, like MNOP. This is mem, noon, samak, ayin, pei. It's the same thing. They got them right next to each other. So anytime it ends with a mem, a final mem, it is masculine. Okay, it's male. Here, if it had a noon on the end, then it's feminine. It's a female. Okay. Is this hard? No. So let's say it. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. You just haven't seen it before. That's all. Okay. So here they're giving you your word, and the root word that they're using is a call, and a call means to eat. That's the basic meaning. Okay. So as you can see, what they're doing here is you got two words that if I take all these little marks off right here, they look exactly the same. Okay. So one tells me that is active and the other one tells me that is passive. But not only is it active and passive, but one is, they're both forceful because they're part of that family.
All right.
So that's the family that you're dealing with. You're dealing with a forceful family this week. So it's the I and the Okay. And the root of it hasn't changed. It's not changed. What's changing is this. Okay. So I devoured right here. Here, that lets me know what kind of type of action is. I'm the one who's doing it, but I'm doing it in a forceful way. I'm devouring this food. I'm not simply eating it. I am devouring. But it takes a little practice because we're unaware of how Hebrew words are used in their proper context. What else do we have? Okay. On this side, associate the three dots here as being passive but forceful, part of the forceful family. Were, was, were, were. Okay. So if you notice, it depends on how and who's doing the action determines whether it was or were. Okay. Because you won't say we was devoured unless you from the back, the backwoods. Okay. We was devoured. Okay. We were devoured. Okay. You were devoured. Now, let me show you how smart you are. Because it's not hard. I'll look at that in a second. When we look at this, break that out. Break that out. And then that's what this is. Shabar means to break. Very simple action. Okay. What is this? What is this saying?
they were
Yes.
broken
Okay, good.
or
but
smashed
also
or
they were
smashed.
smashed. Now, how did that come to your mind? Why'd your brain go like that? Why'd you go to get it? Because you thought, well, what part of family are we talking about?
Right, forceful.
Forceful. So forceful family. Okay. Now, all I'm going to do now is just ask you, I'm not going to ask you about the roots. I'm just going to ask you different things. What family is this?
Passive.
Yeah, it's a passive. But what's up with that family? Are they simple people or are they forceful? Are they angry?
Forceful.
Forceful.
Angry. You're in a mental health, they're angry. How about this guy? He's the one who's always doing it, right? What family is he in?
Forceful.
Forceful.
How about this family?
Passive.
Active.
That's a simple family.
Oh,
Okay.
that's right. Some.
That's a simple family. Is this right here us or we or you or who is it?
Us
We.
or we?
It's we. Is this in the past tense, present tense, or future tense?
Past.
Tell me why it's in the past.
Because of the who? Or-
Yeah, but be more, it's very simple. If it was in the front of the word, it'd be in the future. If it's in the middle of the word, it'd be in the present. If it's at the end of a word, it's in the it's
Past.
the past. Is this in the past, present, or future? Right here.
Present.
Past.
Past. Why is it in the past?
It's in the end of the.
It's at the end of the root. There's nothing in front of this root. Nothing here.
Okay. Gotcha.
You understand? Here's something a little tricky for you. Is this past, present, or future?
Past.
Still pass.
Past. It's in the past. Somebody tell me why.
It's at the end, and we know that the noon
Yeah.
is
Yes. And here it is. And it's part of what?
the simple. No, the forceful.
No, you are 100% absolutely correct. It's in the simple.
The sim-
And that's what the tricky part is, because you would
That's
think,
right.
well, this is forceful. But guess what? The letter noon itself represents a passive form of the past tense. It's passive. But the only way that they say it is they always have the little dot under the noon. I mentioned it last week, but it's something you'll get used to. If you see a noon on front of it, it can mean several things. It can mean we or us, excuse me. It can mean us, or it can mean passive active, passive. It's a passive form of it's a simple passive, simple passive, because it's being done simply. They just use this for its sound. That's all what that is for. Just like I told you in the other word, like you would have the 3 dots under this letter or something, you would think, oh, okay, well, that must be, it's a passive form. No, it doesn't mean that's just a vowel point. Okay. So you were 100% correct. Okay. And you'll remember it. You just got to see it. That's why they're giving you all these different words, because you're supposed to memorize them. You're supposed to look at them and break them down. Okay. Now, do you see right here? It's the same thing you just said. Is this noon right here? Is that a passive, simple passive, or what is it?
Simple past.
It's a simple passive, but you notice it has 3 dots underneath it. And the reason why it has 3 dots under it, everyone, instead of the 1 dot, is simply because of this right here. And that's a whole nother series of lessons that you have to go to understand what those things mean. Okay. So don't worry about this. Remember, we want to take away all this. Take this out. You already know what a call is. Now you know this is a simple group number 1, and you know that that's passive, meaning it's happening. And then this is an end. It tells you about you, and it's in the past. So tell me about this. What does this mean?
You were.
Yes. Go ahead and say it. You're about to say it. I know it doesn't
You-
make sense.
Yes, you were eating.
Yes, you were eating. That's it. Okay. Now, let's take that same thing that you said and say you were eating, right?
Mhm.
Now we're going to get rid of this, right? Let's get rid of that. And all of I put right here, I put these 3 dots right here. What does that mean?
You devoured.
You were devoured. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You were devoured. Now let's get rid of all this. And even get rid of this for now. Let's just act like, we know what we're talking about, because we do. Now we do. I'm going to get rid of this. And now I'm going to put this under the first letter of the 3-letter root. What What is it? So
You
right here.
ate.
Yes.
You ate. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Why? Because this is a very simple way. Okay. Now let's keep you up there. We already know what you is. Now we're going to change the little thing down here and we're going to put somebody part of the family that has problems. So what is this now?
You
Yes,
devoured.
you said it. Yes, 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 yes. You devoured. So you can have you ate, you can have you devoured, you were devoured. Okay. And then if I wanted to include the other one, I'll put this one here. Simply. Right? Put the noon back on front of it. Okay. So these are the things that you've learned. So once you master this, shoot, they ain't gonna nothing you ain't gonna be able to do. Okay. That's it. That's how simple it's just pieces to a puzzle. Okay. And what I don't like is all the other little marks that they give you. It confuses you. You're like, well, I don't want to focus on that. I think they do this on purpose, though, to be honest with you. Because if you look at the answer sheet, it doesn't have all this. And the answer sheet, it just has, you know, everything blocked out like that. You see? So why not take the answer sheet and focus your mind on how it's supposed to be understood instead of all of this? This is confusing. That makes you like, you're overwhelmed. See what I'm saying? Let me just go back again and show you did really well. Congratulations on that. Thank you. All of you did a great job. I know some of you had the answer, you just didn't answer. But here it is. Look at now, look at the way that all this is. It's all busy, right? And it makes your eyes hurt and makes you be like, man, I got to do another Hebrew lesson. Look at all this. That's a lot. Look at the answers. Look how they show you the answers. Look at the answers. Now, do you see why I go to the answer sheet first? Then I program myself and then I go back and look at everything. I'm like, okay, I understand it now. This is more uniform. This is more focused. This is more control. This is more simple. This is more obtainable. You can digest this better. You understand? Versus trying to digest something as all this stuff. Look at all this. How are you going to digest all this? All these different marks and all this kind of stuff. It's confusing. See? So that's why I said what I said. Any questions?
On the last page where it says the last one, let's see. Is
This
it
one?
the page before that?
Or this
shoot.
one?
I'm
Which one?
sorry. It was you fed.
You
It
fed,
was you.
hey, where I hear, was it? No, where was
I
it?
can't remember now. I'm
Uh,
sorry, I can't remember. But in the summary table, it had I was caused to eat. Now, which one should we is acceptable? I fed if it's in the
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, because it's kind of confusing. I'm glad you asked that question. Okay,
Right.
so what they're doing is they're literally breaking everything out for you. Like instead of them just getting straight to it and just putting fed right here and in parentheses, like this, they're saying, well, let me extend it out so I can really tell you what's going on. Okay. Because if they just said I fed, then you wouldn't understand what they're talking about. Okay. Because you have to understand how did they become fed? They became fed because you caused it. Okay. So in the summary table right here, you have the families or the groups that we're talking about, group 1, 2, and 3, right? And in each one of those families, so far we've only covered group 1, and today we cover group 2, right? Now we're finished with group 2. Group 1 had these markings that we had to remember and identifying signs. Group number 2, this family called the forceful family, is what you learned today about this one, a passive, and you have an active and then a passive. You have an active and you have a passive, okay? Active, passive, active, passive, active, passive. We haven't got to group 3. We're going to get to group 3 next time, okay? we did, no, excuse me. We did go to group 3 in the beginning. I think lesson number three was about group 3. So it dealt with this one here, talking about cause is causation. Okay. And what they're telling us is that I cause to eat. That's what they're saying. But how do you translate it into where we can understand it? You have to say, if I cause someone to eat, I fed them. Okay.
Okay.
If I cause someone to get dressed or to wear clothes, I dress them.
Got it.
If I cause someone to believe, right? I caused him, like it says, with the Creator caused him. He's the one who gave it. Okay. He's the one who caused him to believe, meaning he gave him his faith. He gave him that. He put something in him. He caused him to believe. Abraham did not believe on his own, like we were told in the New Testament. He did not. If he did, it would be called a hith pael. That means that he did it to himself. And that's not what happened. What happened was Yah was causative with him. He caused him to believe. You see? So if we understand his language, and it's hard because you and I don't really know what it means. And what they're really saying, because this was the most difficult part for me to understand, because I didn't come up thinking about me causing someone to do anything. You know, and if I did do it, then I was thinking that, okay, I actively did it, right? So there's an active way that you can cause something to happen, and there's a passive way that something can be caused to happen to you. Okay, so actively is you doing it, all right, or someone else doing it, right? Whoever's doing it is doing the action, okay? And then passive means it's happening to you or happening to it, whatever it is. So in all these cases, there actively is someone doing the action. You, okay? You. And in the case, if you're saying it, then you can say, I am the one who's done this. I did this. Okay? I ate, I devoured, I caused to eat, meaning I fed. I was eating because it happened to me. This happened to me. I was eaten. I was devoured. That means somebody did something to me. I sat back and was passive and I allowed it to happen to me. See, like person who's passive, they just let stuff happen to them, you know? When you said, on a basketball court, stop being passive. Be what? Aggressive, get active, okay? So this one here is the one that confuses us a lot. I've noticed that because we don't understand how that thought process happened. But the more that you study and the more that you see this, you'll become familiar with it. You'll be like, okay, if I had anything to do with it, right, then I'm the one who caused it. There's some actions that you can do, right, actively, but there's also stuff that you can cause to happen. The moment that you put any energy towards it, you're responsible for that action. Remember, you always hear me talk about don't rob the Creator of the work that he's done. Well, if you look at a lot of work that has been done by him, first thing is they say that someone else did it and they didn't do it. He's the one who did it. So we're robbing him of the Hiphael, or excuse me, of the Hiphil. We're robbing him of that. If you want to take credit for something, if you did the action, it'd be called a Hithpael. You're the one who did it. But if someone else did it, give them the credit.